I'm Bill Hall, and I'd like to share with you some of my bowling experience. From 1980 to 1988, I drilled bowling balls on the Professional Bowlers Tour, drilling well over 100,000 bowling balls. Well, in 1988, I decided to start working for some ball companies and designing bowling balls. All of those bowling balls were very successful and were used to win many national titles. Not only did I design bowling balls at that time, I also worked with a lot of the top professionals. Well, in 1995, I decided to go overseas and work with international teams. With those teams, I was very successful in getting many gold medals with them. Well, just recently, some partners and I decided to start our own bowling ball company, Blend10. Blend10 is all about blending today's technology along with my expertise. And with that, we came up with a patent-pending core design. We basically take a stem and we put an angled puck on that stem. And with that, we've put it inside of another core. This has given us a very unique core design, which is why I'm making this video. This video is going to show you how to get the most effectiveness with our equipment. Thank you.
To begin the process of laying out the NST with the #1 recommended layout, the first step is to line the quarter scale up with the center of the pin and the center of gravity, also known as the CG. Once you've lined up the quarter scale, draw a long line through the pin and the CG. After finishing the first step, this is how the first line should look. Line up the quarter scale with the ruler side of the scale on top of the pin. Also, be sure to have the 0-degree mark of the protractor lined up on the very first line drawn as illustrated. Once you make sure that the quarter scale is lined up properly, then make a mark at the 30-degree point of the quarter scale as shown in the photo. You will then turn the quarter scale and line it up with the pin and the 30-degree mark. You will then draw a long line from the pin and through the 30-degree mark as shown in the photo. If you have followed the directions correctly, then this is what the first two lines of the layout should look like at this point. Line up the quarter scale on the 30-degree line and make sure that the 0 point of the ruler is centered on the pin. You will then mark the distance of the vertical axis line, also known as the VAL. The VAL distance varies from player to player. It can be 4 inches, 4.5 inches, 5 inches, or any other number. So be sure to use the VAL distance that matches with the player's axis point. Then make a mark at that point. For the rest of the video, 5 inches will be used as the example. So for this particular player, a mark has been made on the 30-degree line at 5 inches from the pin. Then turn the quarter scale so that the 0 mark of the ruler is centered on the 30-degree line and on the mark that you just made of the distance of the VAL, and in this example that distance was 5 inches. You also want to make sure the 0 mark of the protractor is centered on the 30-degree line as well. With the quarter scale lined up on the 30-degree line and on the 5-inch mark, you will now need to make a mark at the 50-degree point of the protractor on the quarter scale. You will then turn the quarter scale and line it up with the VAL mark and the 50-degree mark and draw a line through both of them. If you have followed each step correctly, then this is what the layout should look like at this point, with 3 lines consisting of 0 degrees, 30 degrees, and 50 degrees. Center the quarter scale on the 50-degree line, making sure the 0 point of the ruler and the 0 point of the protractor are lined up properly on that line. With the 0 point of the ruler lined up on the 50-degree line, draw a long line along the quarter scale and make a mark at 5 inches on that line. Turn the quarter scale so that the 5-inch mark and the pin are lined up with each other. Draw a line through the mark and the pin. If you have done each step correctly, this is how the layout will look. The last line that was drawn will be the line that the grip is drilled on. So you should have a grip line, a 0-degree line, a 30-degree line, a 50-degree line, which has established the axis point. With the extra hole on the axis, the ball makes a smooth and continuous motion towards the pocket. With the extra hole 2 inches above the axis, it will promote a more angular motion towards the pocket. With the extra hole 2 inches above and 1 inch further right of the axis, this will promote the strongest angular reaction with this layout. With the extra hole on the axis, the ball will make a smooth and continuous motion towards the pocket. With the extra hole 2 inches above the axis point, it will promote a more angular motion towards the pocket. With the extra hole 2 inches above and 1 inch further right of the axis, this will promote the strongest angular reaction with this layout. Some players' axis points are above the center of the grip. The best way to do this is to line the quarter scale up on the VAL line and the grip line, and then make a mark 1 inch down and away from the VAL. This will put the axis point above the center of the grip. If a player has an axis point that is below the center of the grip, my preference is to make a mark on the 50-degree line below the VAL. For those of you that are using the tri-grip method, you really only need to make one simple adjustment. To keep it simple, I'll use the numbers that are used in the tri-grip video. You'll want to draw a mark 5/8 of an inch to the right by the bottom where the thumb would be drilled, and 5/8 of an inch left up top where the middle finger will be drilled. This will establish the center line in which the tri-grip is based off of. There will be times where the pin is too close to the center of the grip, causing you to drill into the pin, therefore voiding the warranty. So what you want to do is you want to line the quarter scale up on the VAL line and on the grip line and make a mark 1 inch further down on the grip line. You will also need to make a mark 1 inch down from the VAL line and on the 50-degree line. You will then just draw across and connect them. This will give you a new center of grip mark and a new axis point. The 1 inch movement is basically just a guide. Sometimes you'll even have to move that new center of grip mark, new axis point, and new VAL line further down. But at least now you'll know how to go about it to not void the warranty.